I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't know who I am.
No matter what happens in life, that the sun will always, rise and set the same way.
As you can tell, I love using my language. And I love seeing how language can really change the world.
Build our community, because that's what makes us strong.
Colorado's oldest water rights are a system of hand-dug irrigation ditches called acequias. The acequias of the Río Culebra watershed were created by Spanish, Mexican, Indigenous, and Anglo settlers in the mid-1800s. They're still maintained today, often by descendants of those who dug them. The water system remains the lifeblood of these communities. Water comes from snowmelt high in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. It flows to natural streams, then into the acequia system, supporting farming and ranching for more than 300 families in southern Costilla County.
Cotton. Steve Vanderver to Mike Sullivan. I don't know how many bosses I had. I had a bunch of them though. It's okay. Can you fit in there? Rock and roll, lady. Let's go. Farming, I've done this all my life. The thing about growing up in a farm, especially here, was that you helped. You weren't sitting inside watching TV or playing with your Nintendo or whatever, because there's no such thing. If you wanted a toy, you build yourself. We were self-sustained as far as vegetables, whatever you needed. We had our sheep, beef, whatever, you kill your own. We got all kinds of pasture here. We'll bring all the cows over here. We're gonna bring them this next week, I think. Bring them on down. Let them eat it all for the snow flies. It gets pretty chilly. You didn't have any refrigeration. The garage was our refrigeration. Just hang it there and leave it there. My mom used to say, go get me a piece of meat. I couldn't get her a piece of meat and she feed us, That was roughing it at the time. Now we got it made, but that's the way we grew up. It's like they used to say, there's no way a human being would fly in an airplane. They're not flying in airplanes now, they're flying in jets. Unreal, so things change. Where the hell's our cows? If you don't have it in here, don't even try it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be a farmer and you don't have the heart for it, don't even try it, because you're going to go down the drain so quick. Why are you going to get up at 4 o'clock to go rake? Why are you going to be up all night trying to bale? It's a mentality that you love it, and there's very few. Now we got different types of irrigation here and everywhere else in the valley. Like we flood irrigate this. Well, I used to irrigate everything, flood irrigate, and I still do. If the snow is up there, we get all that snow. We got enough irrigating water for everything, and sometimes, like lately, we haven't been able to, because we don't have the water. We don't have the snow. As a farmer, you gotta know, okay, which piece of land will give you more of a product than the other. So you irrigate that, concentrate your water on that, and that's what we've been doing. I mean, we've got that one, this one, well, we got that one, and another one in the middle, this one, and the one on the end don't hardly get anything because there's not enough water. And still, every once in a while, if it rains, it helps. Like this summer, oh man, we had all kinds of rain, which was beautiful. We needed it. But this is all flood. right here. Well, the whole farm is flood. And we're needing somebody to change our water every summer, so if you're available.
I am.
This is the tubes that we use for getting the water from the ditch. We get the dam on the ditch. We put the dam there to hold the water. Okay, the head gate's over there by the cows, and you divert it over here. You put your dam here, and then when the ditch is full, you use this babies like so. You fill the tube of water, right? Fill the tube, and when it's full, all you gotta do is siphons it right out. We'll use them all over. Okay, let's go. Let's go get the dam. You get so damn tired by the end of the day doing this stuff that you say to yourself, what am I doing, you know? But that's life. It's all different. Different things people do in the world. You gotta be a little off to be a farmer, a little cuckoo. You work till, well, you work 24 hours a day almost, you know, because you set your water and you gotta come back maybe in 3-4 hours. Okay, in them 3-4 hours you're doing something else. You're either raking or baling or whatever. When I bought my dad's farm, I figured, what the heck? I was still out in the middle of the field irrigating, and there goes the cars start coming in from the county, from the school, 4 o'clock in the evening. Still got another 6-7 hours of work, and they're already home, you know? And I couldn't figure it out. What the heck is going on? What am I doing wrong? And it wasn't that I was doing wrong. What I was doing was different than them. You got an 8-hour job? I don't. I got a 24-hour job. That's a heck of a difference. And like I said, you got to be a little off. And like I tell my grandkids, because they're the ones that are going to take over anyway, there's nothing wrong in learning to farm. There's nothing wrong with it. You can learn it. Anybody can learn it, if you want to. But if you're going to be a farmer that for 8 hours, you're not going to be a farmer, because it's not going to happen. You know, you got to go with whatever's there. And this is seasonal also to a point to where you got to get your hay up, you know? And you got to get your hay up there for the animals to eat in the winter. Because this is beautiful now, but if it snows 2-3 feet, that's underground, under the snow. So there's no feed. So you got to feed them. When we come back, I'll hook onto the trailer and you can load it. How's that? If you don't have it here, son, don't even try it.
Sin agua no hay vida, San Luis Colorado, sin tierra no hay paz. Without water, there is no life. Without land, there is no peace.
We are a land and water-based community where we depend on water that irrigates the crops in the lower Río Culebra watershed, the villages that exist here. The history here is so unique.
So you're here in the Vega. You see the water. You see this ditch. This is the Culebra Creek. This is the mother creek of our community. All our tributaries, all our acequias start up there. These were hand dug by our ancestors, hand dug all the way from the Sierra to here. Without water that runs in these acequias, we wouldn't be here.
And our main water source is right there. where the black is at, that cañon is Culebra. The one in between is the San Bernardino. And the one on this side of the highest mountain here, that's the Carnero. The Culebra and San Bernardino and the Carnero. They still consider this a Culebra, but it's the three put together. And the three supply our water for down there, for our section of the valley.
We have 9 canyons in La Sierra, 9 of them. Every community, every village has its own water source, and the source meanders through the town. Let me show you our stream.
Okay. Yes, let's go do that. That's what I want.
You want to go see it?
Yes.
Okay, come on, let's go see it. What this stream is, it's called the San Francisco Creek. It starts very small, and it's little springs, and then when the snow melts, all the snow melt joins into one.
The trees then provide a canopy for the snow to last a little bit longer before it melts. Then it's channeled to a river or a water channel, and then from the water channel it's diverted to a smaller system, which is the acequia system. Acequias are gravity driven, you know, they have to flow, water has to flow down, it can't flow uphill. And so that's the whole premise for the acequia, is working with the topography and the landscape.
This ditch has been in operation for almost 200 years. They were constructed when the village was created by folks who just had an axe and a shovel and a plan.
Acequias usually operate on the vara system, and so varas are just strips of land. Not very wide, but they go all the way down to the creek system. And so they have a lot of times it's called the acequia madre, the mother ditch, and they irrigate from that ditch down to the stream system.
Most of the water either gets absorbed in the landscape or returns to charge the river again. And to some people, that's maybe all they have. If they don't have a valid water right, they may have to use the tailwaters or the sobriantes, you know, the water that's sort of left over, so that they can have an opportunity to irrigate.
And what you're trying to do is give everybody a chance at water.
We're communal in the fact that the water has to be shared. We're dealing with families, and we're dealing with a communal mindset.
And by custom and tradition, you were communal because you did what was best for the community, not what was best for the individual. You take only what you need.
The mayordomo, or the ditch rider, is chosen for 1 year.
The mayordomo is the governing body for that one ditch. He says he wants to be the mayordomo this year. Okay, let's have a meeting tonight. Okay, there's 20 people in the ditch. Who votes for Rocky? Who votes for Katie? Who votes for Charlie? Majority wins. If he's got more votes than you and me, siento mucho, he's the mayordomo.
Those individuals act as our representatives in our own community, and they determine how we're going to use this resource of water. Because of climate change and other factors, we're encountering less water for the same amount of acreage. With us, the decision is made for us by nature itself.
The thing about us people here in this community is we have a tendency to, to believe, I guess.
We're living on the hope that we're going to get the resource of snow every year and enough rainfall. If we don't get it, water becomes very scarce.
All you say, I'm from Washington State. We didn't have to worry about water. Over here you do. This is arid, this is desert.
Colorado is a unique area because we are in a desert situation, especially here in Division 3 in the Rio Grande Basin. We just can't grow anything, any crops, can't have livestock without irrigation here. It's just almost impossible. Back east, they use the riparian doctrine. If you've got water on your land, you can take it for your purposes. Here in the West, we have not enough water. And so we've developed the prior appropriation doctrine, which basically says that if you're the first person to put a ditch in on a stream system, you can take water first in times of shortage.
How the priority system came around, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer or anything. Pero in my mind, I figure this way. Dijeron, okay, San Luis appropriated water from the creek. They made the San Luis people ditch. What for? For their gardens and trees and animals and all this and that and the other. But it wasn't adjudicated. Adjudication means you make it legal through the courts.
And so these general adjudications were basically calls by the district court at that time saying, okay, everybody that has a ditch, come into court and we're gonna hash this out.
Dijeron, okay, we gotta take the first 23 decrees are going to court.
We're gonna figure out who put their ditch in first.
I'm the judge, and you're the people that come from the ditches. Who appropriated this water first? Y el Roque says, well, judge, it's me. And who's you? Oh, I'm representing the San Luis people's ditch. This is the head gate to the San Luis people. I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong, I don't know. And then...
Who put the ditch in second?
Then the San Pedro ditch, which is the second priority.
This is San Pedro head gate. I had a few logs torn off of this one. Who's next? There's a guy from Chama, San Pedro. We appropriated the water and on and on. And
the district judge took testimony.
San Acacio was, hey, I'm over here, hey. You know, we actually became number 3, but still, that's good, you know. That one, the one with the old type head gate, that's a diversion for the San Acacio.
They had objections, you know, and had a whole court process and a whole trial to figure out who was first and who was second and on down the line.
Now you got a water right, because the judge told you. Now they're printing it out on an administration list to where it shows me that you got a water right. The acequia system is the priority system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As long as you got a water right, the water commissioner has got to give you that water right according to the administration list.
How did you become the water commissioner?
I went to 10 years of college. No, just kidding. I joke a lot. They had no water commissioner. The prior water commissioner, he croaked, God bless his soul, like, I don't know, maybe April, in the spring anyway. And they needed somebody now. Well, this guy, no, he drinks a lot, man. What about this guy? No, he does this. What about that other guy? He's a good guy, but the people run over him. On and on and on, okay? I know who. Your brother-in-law. That guy don't drink, don't smoke, he's a cool dude. Not because he's my brother-in-law, but... And I called him that night and I says, you want to be a water commissioner, compadre? I don't know. Following morning, he calls me and he says, nah. Okay, now we're stuck. I called the office and Steve answered. He was the honcho there. And he says, well, I'll tell you what. There's 10 people in here that want you. Huh? I was looking for a job anyway. Not necessarily that, but I wanted out of the mine, okay? I'll try it, what the heck? I stayed 26 years. My realm, like you said, was from the Rito Seco, which is North San Luis, all the way to the state line. From the middle of the mountain, which flows this way, to the Rio Grande. That was my realm. There's snow up in the mountains, hopefully. And then when the snow melts, you administer the water that's coming down the creeks.
And that's what our water commissioners do. They actually get the measurements from the streams, find out how much water is every morning, and then figure out how many ditches they can turn on in priority. So they're out in the field every day.
Every day?
Every single day?
Every day. The bigger priorities, you have to check every day. This was my first stop right there. You get your reading here, and then you gotta decipher it. That was my meter for the water coming out of the reservoir.
The wooden one right there?
Yeah, that was my outhouse. No, yeah, I got a key. They brought up this steel thing because up in San Luis, where I metered the water over there coming down, they broke the wooden one, and they decided to go to steal one, which was...
Like on purpose?
Yeah, like on purpose. Like really on purpose. At first it was hard. At first it was really, really hard because I had nobody to teach me. And I'm glad, to a certain extent. I knew my water rights, per se, but I didn't know my ditches. And oh Lord, did I walk. That first year, I traveled I don't know how many miles on these babies. Because I had to find them, you know. And I did. Not only that, I made a map. This ditch belongs here and this ditch is here. Now, if anybody wanted to take over my job, there's a map. This is how you measure your water on a recorder. And this is what they use now. We got a pipe coming in through over there, okay? And that's what gives you the elevation of the creek. If it goes up in here. And that rotates your meter.
So we have near real-time analysis of how much water we have in the streams.
You got to learn a lot to be able to take care of the whole system, you know, and not make daily mistakes, you know what I'm saying? If you're making daily mistakes, you're in the wrong business there. The number one water right is San Luis people's, and not only here, but it's also the number one water right in the state of Colorado. It's beautiful. You don't have to worry if you're number one. You know, if you're number two, you got to worry a little bit. But if you're near number one, I want my water, and I'm going to put it to beneficial use, and hey, you can't take it away from me.
If there's a shortage, which there almost always is, junior ditches, they might only get water for maybe a week or two or maybe a month during the high part of the season, during the runoff. Whereas the senior ditches, they're getting water almost every single day of the irrigation season if they want it.
There's no snow, there's no water. But I went through 2002 and it was pretty bad, and it's been pretty bad since then, actually.
Every year it gets more difficult because of the scarcity.
The people in these rural communities feel it every day, watching their crops wither because the rains didn't come or the snow didn't happen during the winter. And these are tough times.
The weather's playing such a big part in how we're conducting our acequia issues.
There's some dire projections out there that we might not have near as much water as even we have now, and now we don't have enough water.
That's the hope that springs eternal, I guess, out of us, that we'll always have water.
Peas, we grew 4 types of peas. Corn, we grew corn. And then we did grow squash. I guess you could call me a beginning farmer. My grandpa and all of his family and all the way on were farmers. I'd be the 8th generation to farm. I just love the beauty in it and seeing everything grow and the fruits of your labor, and just enjoy it so much that it's what I'd like to make it as my life. Morning, good morning, good morning. You gotta be a certain person, I mean, even to do farming and agriculture, you gotta, you gotta really, really just have a desire to do it, and then really love the environment. A lot of the youth are willing to learn. The water will come about, I would say, 7 or 8 miles from the ditch. And all the gardens have the water every Sunday. And we'll irrigate the whole garden. It takes about an hour to do it all as a whole. It's not that bad.
Learn all you can, just in case, just in case. 10 years from now, you had, no, this life isn't for me. I want to go back to the farm. You don't have to ask John Doe over there, how did you start this machine? You already know. This generation, now they're working the land. They're working the land better. And I see it every day.
The tradition of being a land and water-based people, of teaching your children that this water is what gives us in our villages sustenance. It gives us what we need to live. It grows our crops. You have to consider that those things you cannot put a value on. It's invaluable. It's a tradition. It is something that you pass from one generation to another. Leaning toward a more simplistic life may be the way to go. And who knows, we might be going that way.